Hello, Yankra here with the part 2 of the Saryn Re-Re-Re-Rework Saryn 3.5 video, and I'm just gonna show off to you her effectiveness. Oh wait, gotta go to the build first. Versus enemies, and what I'm talking about with the duration issues. So I've got this build where I just say, fuck it, I want to have good power strength, good amount of power strength. I want to have a good amount of range, and I don't give a shit about efficiency or duration. Now, this is not actually the build I recommend the most, but it's good for testing because I can spread to all enemies very quickly, and it's got baseline drain, and at least from, not the initial drain, of course, because I have better power strength in this build than some of my other builds. However, it's pretty good for, oh, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's pretty good for testing and showing off what I mean when I complain about drain, and why I think that building to reduce her drain per second is very important. That's the takeaway here. So let's just go over here and spread this across to some enemies. Oh, right, no toxic lash. Whoops. All right, 20 infected. Okay, we're gonna wait for a bit. Now, while we're waiting for this damage to build up, let me mention something here, which is if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that I've got an arcane procced constantly. Turns out that any on-hit or on-crit arcane will be procced by spores. So enjoy this while it lasts, because it's definitely a fucking bug, and DE is so going to patch this in like 1 or 2 days. So, you know, it's really cool right now. I will say, hey, if anyone from DE sees this, and this is how you find out about it, please, for the love of God, build a frame where this is an intentional mechanic, because it's really cool. Anyway, so, as you can see, my damage is decaying very quickly. Look at that. It's just huge, huge, huge rapid decrease. Once you get down to like 200, it stops being so nuts. But even immediately, I think I should have been at like 900 stacks, and it jumps down to 700 and then drops very rapidly. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about, like, if it takes you a few seconds to find a new target, you are fucked, right? You're gonna lose a lot of damage. And it makes it really hard to build up damage for her. And it makes it really hard to actually have a build where you have like decent power strength and where you have decent range, right? I have growing power, so keep in mind my power strength is effectively what, like, it's 25%, so it's over 150, which is where I kind of like it. Anyway, so this is why I don't recommend that build exactly. Instead, there's this build for ESO and this build for Star Chart, right? So this is, let's look at this. Let's contrast this a little bit. So duration can make the drain a little bit more effective. I think with this build, what doesn't really hurt you is if there's like a lull in enemies, right? And you're using this build, it's not gonna be, I should spread over here. Funny thing, by the way, if you notice there for a second, I had 0 stacks of damage, right? So that's interesting, because it's clearly not strictly percentile. It's also got like a flat decrease in addition to percentile, so that's weird. But anyhow, the point is that with this build, you get that long range spread that you really would like to have. And the decrease over time that you get with this setup is not so bad. Like, let's see, what's my modified stats here? I think I've got, yeah, reset decay isn't going to be so bad. I want to like just poke this guy occasionally so I can keep up growing power so that my reset decay really won't be that bad. And, okay, so they all die. Ah, there we go, 800, and it's decaying pretty fast, but if it takes me like 5 seconds to find a new enemy, like if I found a new enemy, oh, about now, see, I'd still have 500 damage. That's actually like a pretty good new starting point. So it's not super harsh, but if I was moving to a new room, I'd probably be fighting a new enemy a little bit closer to maybe now, right? 300 damage. That's a lot of my damage gone. I was a little over 1,000 before, and now I'm down to like maybe 300, 280, 250, somewhere in there. Pretty nasty. I don't think you really, and keep in mind, because of course the decay speed, you know, is percentile. So if I got up to 2,000, I'd probably be at like 350, 400 damage when I finally got to a new room and spread on enemies again, right? So it doesn't really like get much better if you have a huge buffer of damage built up, right? It's gonna be nasty. But if your spores just kind of drop off of enemies for a second and you just need to recast in an ongoing fight, it's not such a big deal with this build. And it's still pretty gnarly with the ESO build because you have to take these slots to get steel fiber to get vitality. I think, did I even have Hunter Adrenaline on this? Yeah, I don't have Rage or Hunter Adrenaline on this Star Chart build. I expect you to use pizzas or focus or, you know, have a Trinity with you, or maybe a combination of focus and a weapon like the Supra Vandal that I've got that's got this faction, this faction proc, which gives you energy back. You have some combination of those things, and you can drop this mod for more power strength, and you don't need vitality or steel fiber, and you don't need regenerative molt. It really opens up your options. Now, for Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, on the other hand, you probably need regenerative molt. Maybe you can make it work with one of the 2 mod options for melee that you can use to heal yourself. However, I have not had a lot of luck with that. And regenerative molt just it's easier to use and it's more effective. Yeah, while being safer, right? It's more effective while being safer. So I've preferred it significantly for ESO. I found I can survive up to later waves with it. However, as a downside to this, using regenerative molt is more energy intensive, and energy efficiency is crap. And of course, because you also have steel fiber and vitality and Hunter Adrenaline and regenerative molt, all these meant to work together in order to let you get to later ranks, that just means that you don't have room for 200% duration and 280 range and 133% power strength. Right? You just don't have room for it. You could probably get more power strength if you used a higher tier of Blind Rage, but I already have energy problems with this build, and you would have more if you increase the ranks of Blind Rage. So, yeah, kind of got some problems with this, but let me demonstrate this build really quick. This is versus level 130 enemies, so that's pretty high up by any means. And it's still reasonably effective. Oh, I should... Those are so hard to pop without some, whatchamacallit on. There we go. Without Toxic Lash on. So as you can see, like, my damage scaling is still okay. You're still going to get up there after a while. Your time to kill isn't great, but you should be able to keep your stacks going fairly well. You've still got that, let's look at the spread. So you lose 18% on reset decay. So reset decay is pretty harsh, but your decay rate is only 7%. So you can still keep a decent amount of damage going, as long as you don't have any big gaps in enemies, and you'll eventually get it up to, like, 800 here, and then if you can respread this, this is going to stay fairly effective versus high-level enemies. You kind of need like over 1,000 to maintain pretty good effectiveness, and we'll see it start decaying in a second here. And it's not as great as the Star Chart build, obviously, but it's pretty bad. It's just not horrible, right? You might be able to find a new enemy by the time you hit 500, 400 stacks, and you probably, if you have to go to a new room, you're gonna have no damage left, but them's the breaks, right? Okay, so let me do a little test of this with some like mixed enemies at high level and their AI turned on, just to show you. Hopefully I won't die embarrassingly, and I've done this a couple times and not died yet. So here's hoping it won't happen this time, versus a variety of Grineer enemies. And yeah, I just want to show you that you can survive at high levels versus various enemies with this build. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not invulnerable. Got a little bit of stack damage left, but it shouldn't be impactful. I'm gonna use my melee weapon to defend myself because, fuck me, it's pretty hard to survive otherwise. All right, so oh shit, I didn't infect anyone new. All right, there we go. We've got everybody infected. Let's drop an ultimate. Okay, running out of energy, but not too bad. And drop another molt. Oh, don't want to drop off the edge. That would screw me. And as you can see, I'm already killing through these guys pretty effectively. Got to use cover a bit. Let's do ultimate again. It's probably worn off. Drop another molt. Keep block up. Block. A melee block I find is pretty important to surviving. Ouch. At this tier. This guy's going to be just an asshole, huh? Oh, fuck. He did kill me. Well, alright, I did finally die this time, but as you can see, if I had maybe been a little more cautious, I could have waited, and my spores would have inevitably killed this asshole. Yeah, so it gives you a general idea. Or I could have ulted again. I had enough energy. Fuck you, Microsoft. I swear I turned off system sounds before this. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna leave that in there. It's comedy, right? Comedy gold, right? Right? Okay, it's just mostly just bad. Oh, and it won't actually go away. Well, fortunately, you can't see whatever pops up from that. I don't know. Okay, so I think that covers everything, right? I showed you 2 builds, talked about spore spreading, talked about decay, talked about why I made the choices I made. If you think you've got a better build, maybe share it in the comments. I'd like to take a look at it, certainly. I think one thing I should mention that I have not really had a lot of success with yet, but maybe is good, would be energy conversion. Actually, I don't know if spores still snapshot power strength. If they do, though, casting energy conversion and then keeping your spores going consistently would be a great way to have, really high tick rate, right, on spores. Like you get 200 power strength, you could probably get fairly easily, especially on like a star chart build. Like you swap in, energy conversion instead of blind rage, right? Well, actually, it's not that great compared to blind rage. Instead of intensify, and you get that like 20% more power strength with growing power. I believe that's like 90% power strength or something. Maybe swap cunning drift for what's it called, power drift. Then you'd certainly hit that 200% magic number and could be a little bit more effective. Yeah, so that pretty much covers that. My overall takeaway here, to reiterate, is that I do think Saren really needs more changes. The decay rate is just too harsh. You can't actually like build stat damage over time very effectively. And no spore spread on enemy death if the spores kill them just feels terrible, and it's annoying, and I just don't like it. It's irritating, like getting sand in your regular shoes and having to walk around on it for a long time. It's everywhere. It's nasty. It's coarse. It's horrible. I hate sand. Anyway, but that's the point. Like, this is like sand in the build. In playing Saren, that is the sand that they have thrown in there, and I don't like it. And I understand why they did it, but I hope that they make some kind of mitigating change on that front, like maybe one that I've suggested where miasma allows spores to continue spreading, or even like casting miasma spread spores, something to make up for it a little bit. Yeah, and just mitigate the decay. Oh, and that's the other thing I forgot to suggest. If the initial decay and the decay rate were modified by the same thing, it would make building her a lot easier. For example, if it was duration that affected both of them, I think it would make her a lot better, and it would make her build make a lot more sense. Yeah, so I really hope those changes are made. Some kind of changes, just better decay rate, better spore spreading. Yeah, to make her less irritating to play. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, you want to see more like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. And maybe in the comments you could let me know if there's anything else you were curious about with these Saren changes, or something you wanted to see me test. Obviously I don't really want to do even more content on Saren and cover playing through her with this change in ESO and in normal missions like I did with the previous change, because I already did it. But if someone really wants to see that, I could do that. Yeah, that's all for now. I think I'll try and get back to covering some other content. I know I, for one, have had a toxin overdose. You get it, right? Yeah, I'm a comic gold right there. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you for watching. Yakri out.